The views and opinions expressed by the guest author or speaker during this live session are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Reader's Magnet. The content shared is for informational purposes only and does not constitute endorsement or promotion of any particular belief, ideology, or product.
Hello, authors, book lovers, and storytellers, and welcome to another exciting episode of Reader's Magnet featured author interview, where we dive deep into the world of creativity and inspiration. And our guest for today is the author of the books A Widow's Cry, Family Memories with a Little Mystery in It, Encouraging a Friend with Our Trials, and Servant's Heart from the Voice of a Volunteer, and now talking about her latest book, Our Furry Friends, and what they teach us through our Bible. So please help me welcome Jamie Pulos-Fry. So Jamie, how are we doing today?
We are doing wonderful, and thank you for having me today.
And Jamie, thank you very much for joining us again. And again, to all of our viewers and book lovers, though, again, we're flashing up that book there on your screen, so at least you can grab a copy and try to read along as we're having this interview. But first and foremost, you can also check our previous interviews. We've talked about this book, and now that it's finally available, so let's go into nitty and gritty and talk more about this book. So, Jamie, just want to ask you, what inspired you to write a book about how pets can help us become better people then?
Well, for one thing, it was a lot of people asked me questions about pets and how important they are to us. So, but really, it's to teach us that we need to be accountable, okay? Oh. And so I couldn't find a poem, so I wrote one in my book. And it's based on Romans 12:8. So let's see. This poem is called Accountable Life. If you are faithful in little things, you will be faithful in large ones. If your gift is to encourage others, be encouraging. If it is giving, give generously. If God has given you leadership ability, take the responsibility seriously. And if you have a gift for showing kindness to others, do it gladly. Don't just rely on your rights, be responsible. So it's kind of based on Romans 12:8. And that was really the reason why I chose to do that. There's also other reasons. Was Romans 12:8 is about exhorting or exhortation. He that giveth, let him do it with simplicity. He that ruleth will with diligence. He that showeth mercy with cheerfulness. So it's about our pets teach us that. They really do. They teach us how to be cheerful, happy. They're always smiling. They're always happy, excited and just to see you. And that's something that they teach us, and it makes us, we should be doing the same thing, no matter where you are and what you're doing. So that's what it was teaching me.
If I ever could say that, Jamie, I totally agree with that, because I never seen a pet when you, after a long day's work and you get home, I never seen a pet was being grouchy or not even excited to see you. There's never a dull moment. Even me, I have a pet dog at home. Every time I go home, it's always the thing that I look forward to. They're gonna greet me, they're gonna be jumping, be happy about it, always being cheerful, basically. And also, Jamie, on your book as well, you at least mentioned that there were 9 reasons that pets help us see life through their eyes. So can you share at least 1 or 2 that are the most meaningful to you then?
Sure. In my book again.
Let's use that book.
Okay. So here are the 9 reasons that you're talking about. Okay. Eye contact, tail wagging, yawning. Okay, and then here's another one: lifting their eyebrows, snuggling and big welcomes, and sleeping next to you, smiling and leaning against you. Okay, so these are, and then stealing your clothes. Okay, these are 9 things that they love to do. Okay. Now, the ones that I like the most is tail wagging and snuggling. So tail wagging, this is the sign that your dog is happy dog, and heart dogs confirm that it's also a sign of affection toward a human. Relaxed dogs can more easily wag their tails, and dogs that are relaxed feel good about their owners. Tail wagging can go both ways. Dogs don't always give a growl or a warning when they're going to bite, okay? So now snuggling. I always loved it when I got to snuggle with my pets. A good dog cuddle is the stuff that dreams are made of, but actually it's so much more than that. You should feel very special and good about your relationship with your dog when they cuddle up with you. because they could choose to cuddle up and sleep somewhere else in the house, but they choose to be with you.
Oh, love that.
Yeah, because
It's, it's
you're special in their life.
Yeah, and it makes sense because again, it always boils down like you again, us humans though, we have a long life ahead of us, learning, growing, and trying to be better people. But then
Right.
for our pets, they only have us in their own lifetime, and yeah,
Exactly.
they have
And
us
they
in their own.
teach us, they have a rosy look at life. And
Yeah,
I sometimes I think they have an easy life compared to what we have. But, you know, some things they're not allowed to do. You know,
yeah,
there are things they
yeah.
can't go and do, but they're happy with whatever they have and what they get to do in your
It's
life.
it's more It's more of
Mhm.
like because pets could also be a sentiment of being contented with what
Right.
you have, like having a shelter, like not asking for so much, but yet being satisfied with what you have and being there, being in that moment, being with the people you love. And I do understand like why these things are very meaningful to you. But Jamie, one more thing that I've also noticed though, like again, children having pets is something good, but I want to ask you, as the author of this book, how do you think pets can positively impact a child's upbringing in a family home? Then,
Well, again, in my
from your
book,
book,
it's
let's
all
go.
here, you guys. That's why. Okay. Well, now that we have finished with the dog training, let's get to how this also relates to our kids and our adults down the road. When we
Mm,
relate this to our kids, teenagers, we have the same issue when they go to grandparents' house and go to
mm.
school. So every
Oh,
day we need to ask questions and make sure that everything is okay and set rules and guidelines for their lives until they are ready to leave and make their own home, their own families. So
oh,
basically, what I'm saying is when you're training a dog, you give them treats, you make them happy, they do whatever you ask, right? But then sometimes
true.
you give them to your grandparents, your parents, and they give them all kinds of sweets and they give them all kinds of stuff. And then they come home and they don't behave anymore. And that's the same with the
Mm,
dog. Every time I took my dog for a weekend at my sister's house, she would give her treats and they would give her food and stuff that I normally would not give my dog snacks or treats at the kitchen
mhm,
table. And so now you're creating bad habits. And so that's the same thing.
mm,
Your parents do the same thing. The same thing that happens with your pets, the same thing happens with your kids, because I guess our parents love to do that to you because their parents did it to them. So it's
true.
just it's payback is what they call it. You know what I'm saying? But really, that's what happens, and then it takes a while for you to change those bad habits back to good habits. That's why we have treats. That's why we have training, and it's the same thing with pets as well as kids.
Mhm,
And we try our best to when they do leave the house and go to have their own kids to teach them correctly. But your
mm,
kids are always going to come back and ask for questions, and you're always going to have to help them, to learn, how to take care of their own kids. That's why pets are so important because
mm,
they're always retraining and we're always having to relearn. And it's the same thing you can do with your pets, you can do with your kids. It
mm.
really isn't any different. Your pet is like a the age of an eighth grader or 8 year old. Okay.
Okay.
So you have to understand when you're training a dog, they're about 8 years old. Okay. And most of them have really good, some pets are really good with their education and they learn and they train, and others are just really slow. And that's the same thing with your kids. So you got to figure out
Mm,
how to get them going and learning, and everybody's at a different level. And that's with
mm,
our church, that's with home, that's with feeding and clothing and certain things. Some of them take a while to learn how to walk. Some of them take a while to learn how to put their shoes on, and dress, and some understand colors and some don't, some just, even as they
mm.
get older, don't even know how to match their clothes. I know I've seen some. And I sit there over like, oh, well, that's okay. I'm not her mom and I'm not her husband, so I don't have to worry about it. But these are things that happen, and if we teach our kids at an early age, when they do leave the house, they'll remember some of the things. And if they don't, then they can always come back and ask. Parents are
Mm,
always there to help them. And that's the same thing with dogs. We always have to retrain them sometimes because people give them bad habits. You give them to somebody else to take care of them for a weekend, and all of a sudden, uh-oh, you just taught them something I don't, and you have to start over. And that's the way
Start
it is.
over again.
Yes, that's the way it is. It's life.
Hey, I do agree with that, Jamie, because it's kind of like a concept like every parent would always be a first time parent, and it
Mhm.
always boils down to how can you guide this person onto the right path again. Same thing with what you were trying to correlate it. If we're going to be correlating it with beliefs and faith and also on
Mhm.
how people try to behave as well, there will be times that a person might go through a different path in life,
Mhm.
but then once they find themselves going back to the right path, it's always up to them how to correct and how people can guide them into the correct path, leaning towards
Exactly.
what they want to achieve. Love that. I
Exactly.
really love I really love it. And Jamie, also within this book here, because I've noticed that you've been quoting the Bible here as well. So you've included Bible verses
Yep.
and poems in your book. So how these elements connect with the message of pet ownership then?
Okay. Here we go again.
From the book itself?
I just love my book. Okay.
I-
Well, here in chapter 3, which is
okay.
whining and begging, okay, obey
Mm-hmm.
them that have the rule over you and submit yourself, for they watch for your soul as they that must give account, that they may do it with joy and not with grief, for that is what did it say? Unprofixable for you. That's what it
Mm-hmm.
is. And that's Hebrew 13:17. You know, the Bible's hard to read sometimes. Okay,
Okay.
so that one's that one. And then I have another one here. It's on page 90. And let's see, what do we got here? This one's a poem. That was a Bible verse. This one's a poem. Growing pains. Okay. When
Okay.
childhood storms assail me, I hid beneath my bed. And when things went bump in the night, I covered up my head. And as times go by, we quickly learn that we must face our fears, for things aren't usually as bad as they may first appear.
Hmm.
Faith steps in. We learn to cope when things don't go our way. Through faith, we learn there is always hope once we know how to pray.
Mhm.
We must endure the growing pains. Life brings us through the years, for beyond the joy and laughter, there will always be some tears. With each failure, there's a lesson, a chance to start anew. As we learn by trials and error what we can or cannot do, every life's a work in progress until our race is run. When by faith we cross the line and hear God say, well done. Okay, so we've got that one. And then this one's the one that I wrote.
Sure.
I write poems too, as well as books. You know what I'm saying? Not just, okay, so let's see. Here it is. Page 175. And this one is called A Pet's Life.
Hmm.
Okay, train our pets to give us responsibility. Sometimes I wished I had a pet's life, carefree, just making one person happy.
Mhm.
Teach our pets to show us patience. Sometimes we need to stop and see the world around us just like they do. Touch our pets with a loving heart to show us unconditional love so we can pass it around the world with an open heart. Trust our pets to show us how to see the world through rosy colored eyes. Tell our
Hmm.
pets to stay on the correct path and to show us the life God has given us. Thank you, Lord, for giving us a creature that teaches us to forgive others even if we don't feel like it at first. Pets are always
Love that.
forgiving. You know,
Love that.
they might take a couple days to forgive you, but they will always forgive you. If you
True.
spank them, scold them, oh yeah. You give them
Mhm.
about, I'd say 7 days, and they usually forget. They
Mm.
they forget. That's one of the
Mm.
things. That's why they can love you and care for you, is because they don't have a very long span of memory when it comes to
Mm.
um, fear and hate and all that kind of stuff. That's just the reason why they
Mm.
can love you unconditionally. It's in my book as well.
Mm. Love that. Love that. Love
Yeah.
that. And And also, one more thing, Jamie, because again, I really love the poems they place in there, including related Bible verses. And again, since we're talking about this book, again, this is our furry friends and what they teach us through our Bibles. It is talking about pets here and also dogs, some dogs as well as those included. But just want to ask you, because again, this is something that's part of your book. So, and know that there's a dog treat recipe. There's dog treat recipe. So, what motivated you to add these dog treat recipes in the book? Are they based on your own experience with pets, or how did they come to
Yes,
fruition?
yes, they are. They basically
Oh,
are. As well
okay.
as with my other book, Family Memories, it has
Mm,
food recipes in it as well. So it was one of those things that I like a certain series of books written by Joan Faulkner, and this
okay.
one has it's a murder mystery kind of a book, okay? And
Hmm.
basically, it had a lot of food in there, okay? And what the
Hmm.
girl that's in there is you've seen the movies on Hallmark, okay? They're Hallmark movies, and she's the one that has a restaurant or a bakery, okay? And so
Hmm.
she's always solving murder mysteries, okay? And her food is always involved in it. But I just wanted to, when we are training pets in the first place, when you first start with them, if you want them to do well, you need to give them treats, and you might as well give them healthy treats. So
True.
we were going out buying presents for Christmas, and we found this treat, this machine, and it's called a mini dog treat maker. Okay.
Okay.
And it's in my book. It's on page 28, and it helps you as well. And it gives you recipes. Okay. And it's also a
Mm.
machine that makes them in little doggy biscuits. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
And oh, yeah. And you can, but these recipes can also be made just in the oven if you want. You know what I'm saying?
mm.
You just have to get a little thing, a little cutter that looks like a doggy biscuit, and
Hmm.
and any size you want. And some of them have peanut butter in them. You know, they're healthy. There's things that you and I can even eat. Okay, so
Oh,
that's yeah. They're yeah. I mean, there's some of these treats that do have some
so
really
okay.
funky stuff in it that I you know I don't even know where to find, you know. But most of the ones that we tried, and we used my sister's dog as a guinea pig, you know, for trying some of
Okay.
these treats, and she really loved them, and so did we, you know. So
Mm.
we were sampling them as we were making them. So I was like, these are good. so so they're pretty healthy. I mean, and they're healthier than the other treats that you find in boxes because they're made fresh. You know, they
Mm.
don't have all the extra salts and the additives and all that kind of stuff in them. So they're freshly made. And, you know, you just have to put them in a container in the refrigerator, and your dogs will just love it. And it's to teach them. The treats are not just to give them away, just to get them in the house or to do it's to get them to sit. It's to get them to beg. It's to get them to, you know, to do something that you want them to do. That's what treats are for. It's to train them. Okay. And which there's the first chapter is probably the longest chapter in this book, and it's about
Hmm.
training. And
Mm.
it's something that you also, if you think about it, you're training your dog, you're also training your kids the same way.
Mm.
And you
Okay.
know, so you've got to understand that your pet can be a benefit for you if you've never had kids. If you're teaching them, it'll help you when you finally have kids how to figure out how to have patience to teach your kids, because you know dogs can take some time to train. They're not so easy to train at first. So they're
Okay.
fun. It's fun to teach, you know, a pet as well as your kids.
Love
It's
that.
it's a
Love that.
great benefit down the road. Yep.
Awesome, awesome. And you know, Jamie, 'cause I really do love the idea of this book, and I love the results and also what we're trying to achieve here. But there's one question though before we wrap this, and getting to all of our viewers, book lovers, if ever you want to grab a copy of again Jamie Pulos-Fry's book, again, it's available through Amazon and Barnes and Noble. But before we wrap this up though, and again, we had a lot of interviews together, and I know that you are involved with the Lancaster Baptist Church. So I just want to ask you, like, how really has your fate and involvement in the Lancaster Baptist Church influenced your writing?
Okay. Well, I have been with Lancaster Baptist Church for probably 20 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Singing in the choir, probably 19. Now, silly me, at my age, 63, I've gone back to college at West Coast Baptist College, which is part of Lancaster Baptist Church.
Hmm.
And basically, what it did, most of my books are Christian based. If you've seen they all have some kind of Christian Bible verse in it, or some kind of Christian poem in it of some kind. It's helped me keep me on my straight and narrow path. It's helped me it's taught me to be kind to others and watch what I say and do at all times, to pray for even others that have hurt me. There are people out there that can be, how do I say, don't realize that they've said something inappropriately or said something rude and didn't realize it. And because I just kind of let it go, they actually come up to me and apologize. Okay. I've had it happen. It happened to me last week. And this girl says, well, I don't want to do this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, fine. And I just went and did what I was supposed to do. Right. And she comes up to me later and says, I know that what I just said to you was very rude. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, and we explained and we were fine, and we hugged and we were fine. Then I had somebody inquire, which I thought this was really kind of odd. Okay. I'm here in choir practice. I have my music down on my seat, and they gave us donuts because it's the first week back, from having a break from church. So I had my donut sitting on there, and all of a sudden she just takes my sheet music. She just starts to take it, and I'm like, and she acts like I didn't know that I saw her do it. And I'm like, and then all of a sudden my music comes back because the person behind me saw what happened and gave me her sheet music. And I just kind of went, and I'm like, and she says, yeah, I know I took your music. And I'm like, but you gave it back to me. She says, oh no, the person behind me gave it. And so she took the music and put it away from me. See what happens when you don't make a big deal out of it. You just give it to God, and you just keep focused, and you keep doing what you're supposed to do. Those little things don't bother you, because I'm here to serve God when I'm at church. I try to leave everything at home when I come to serve, when I come to service on church, on campus and everything, because we all have issues and we all have problems. All of us do. But we need to make sure that we focus on God when we're there, and to encourage other people and help other people while we're there, and deal with what you want to deal with when you get home. You can't, you can ask for people to pray for you, if you've got something that you're going through and all that kind of stuff. And that's what I do. Like right now, I've gone back to college at West Coast Baptist College. I'm going on my second year here. And sometimes I call for funds, to ask people to, pray for me to have funds for school. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and for other things, or help me find a grant, or help me find a scholarship or something like that to help pay for my school bill, and those are little things that we ask for and we pray for and ask people to guide us and direct us. None of us are perfect. We're all growing and learning. Even at my age, I'm trying to finish something I started a long time ago, and that is my music degree. I wish I would have done it 10 years ago when my mother was still alive. I know she'll hear it in heaven, but it would have been nice to have her hear it while she was still here on earth. So there's a lot of things I'm doing and growing. I even have another book that I've started. It's going to take a while though. Yeah, it's a women's devotional book. So you got to understand. Oh yeah, that's 366 Bible verses. It's going to take some time.
Hey, same thing with our furry friends. I was there when you were starting working on our furry friends, and now working on this new book. And hey, who knows? We'll be talking more about this, and we can talk more about the your new book once it's going to be available. And again, to all of our viewers and book lovers, again, if you love Jamie, if you want to know her books, want to know her stories as well, feel free to grab a copy. So as you can see on top, though, we're adding there our furry friends and what they teach us through our Bibles. And also check our other books. That's Family Memories with a little mystery in it. You would love that. A Widow's Cry, Encouraging a Friend with Our Trials, and Servant's Heart from the Voice of a Volunteer. So you know what, Jamie, I just want to say this again. We have these interviews a couple of times. And as we come with the end of today's conversation, I just want to take a moment and say thank you very much for joining us and sharing your insights. And, I'm always excited to see where your writing journey takes you. And I'm looking forward to see more of your work in the future as well, JB.
Thank you for having me today.
No worries. Okay. Again, to all of our viewers and book lovers, thank you very much for tuning in. And always remember that every ending is just a new beginning in the world of stories. May your reading adventures be endless and your imagination boundless. And as we say here at Reader's Magnet, we share your stories with the world. Thank you and have a good one. Bye bye.
Amen.